Okay, hi. So here we are. We're back at another episode of New E-commerce Era. I'm Alicia Long, the host of the podcast, and today we have Senya,
Hello.
the CEO and co-founder of Berber. It's a beauty brand, and she is a badass female entrepreneur. So today we have her on our show to talk about her pain points of being an entrepreneur, the good and the bad, and also what questions you have for that represents thousands of other female entrepreneurs in your own journey as you are living and breathing every single day as an entrepreneur, as a female immigrant entrepreneur. We have different set of struggle,
Yeah.
right?
We do.
So, and I think your story can resonate with a lot of other people of, where do I even start?
Yeah.
And what is your current mental stage? And, there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to have you on board.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. I'm very excited. I know you interviewed my partner, Anya, and I'm very interested to see what she said and what question she asked you. So, we know each other for quite some time at this point, and I love to watch you grow. It's so amazing because I remember when I first found out about Nutter, it was like a year ago.
Gosh, I feel
Maybe
like
a little
it's
more.
over. Yeah.
Yeah,
over a year
because
ago.
oh my God, it was over a year ago. And I remember my first impression of you. I reached out to Alicia, and she was so kind, giving she's like, "Girl, I got you. What? I'll help you out." It's so, and you were so transparent, and I think this is what's amazing about doing this podcast. Sometimes you reach out for help, and people kind of gatekeep information, which I don't really understand why we do that. Some people do that, but you were super transparent and super honest, always willing to help, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wanted to help more entrepreneurs. That's the reason why we have this podcast. Because I think sometimes when you're just starting out business, you have limited resources,
Yeah.
right? And you're simply just trying to get some more help, and then you really take whatever help that you can get. So I guess from your point of view as a entrepreneur, just when you first starting out, I guess my question is, what kind of pain points do you have like on a daily basis? And if you don't mind sharing a little bit about like what you do on a daily basis with Berber and what kind of advice that you hope that you can get out of.
Well, I guess the most important right now, and I think for people who, I was just talking to someone about like another entrepreneur who opened a business. She's a Latina woman, and she was explaining that desire and burnt desire to change something, in your life first and foremost. That what drives you to really that what ignites your spark, which allows you to actually drive. So comfortable, not necessarily something that from which point you can drive from. So I guess like what I wanted to talk about to begin with is like how do you keep that spark going, because it's only that much energy you can have. Like I remember starting Berber, I was so excited because I just wanted to change my life, and I wanted to, my vision was, it was a broad vision for myself, for my family, for people I care about, for for the industry. And because when I hear you talking about Nutter, I'm like, oh my God, I relate to that. I was just sick of like my consumer illiteracy, of like not being able to understand why am I not understanding what I'm putting in my body, like food product, cosmetics. I want to change that. I want to change that for me first. Then I want to change it for other people. So I was super excited about that. And then I guess speaking of pain points, like right now, what I'm dealing with is keeping that spark going. Not that I don't want those things anymore, but you get so consumed with everyday tasks. How do you keep your intention clear?
Yep.
Because intention is just like a pathway for your continuous action, right? So I guess my question for you would be is like, how did you, like, we know how you started Nutter. How did you continue in the times of distress to move forward?
Yeah. So it's a very good question, and I think no matter what stage you're in, you always have a different set of challenge, right? And then I remember when I met you and you are asking me, how do I get to $1,000 a month?
Yeah.
You probably don't remember that because, now you're doing way more than that. So, and it's always like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And then we are as human, we're wired to think, okay, we especially immigrants, I feel like we are always like wired that way
Yeah.
because we didn't come from a lot.
No.
And then we're not comfortable, right?
No.
And then you just psychologically you just want to get out of it.
Yeah.
You just wanted to provide. You just
You
want to
do.
have like choices, right? So you just automatically just goes to how do I get there? And then especially as a CEO and founder, and you kind of have that anxiety all the time.
Yeah.
It's just fire light up your feet and you're like, I gotta go, I gotta get there. But when you don't see the result that you anticipated, you get distressed.
Yeah.
And you kind of just looking at the sales go, wow, like what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And your mind just automatically goes to what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And just all my fault, or like is there anything I didn't do, or am I spending like it's just the doubts, the self-doubt, the the kind of your anxiety just come out. But this is when you switch your I think I remember as one person said, I was listening to her podcast actually, and Miranda, I forgot her last name, but she is a great entrepreneur, and then she mentioned about every time when you have a self-doubt, right? And when you have that kind of stage of anxiety, and it's natural. Everyone does have anxiety. It's not a medical condition. Everyone born like with that kind of when you have that emotional stage, and then when you wake up and you're stressful, because when you wake up, first thought and you're like, okay, what is my problem that I need to like solve today? And then you automatically your brain just goes into the distress stage. That's not healthy, right? And it's natural, but you gotta have to train your brain muscle to say, what if it does work out? What if, like, I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing everything that I can to help my business. And guess what? If my business today is not doing $5,000 today, but my ROAS is 6, my God, I'm doing good. And you tell yourself, just like same as your body image, right? And instead of saying like, I'm not thin enough, I'm not good enough, I'm just like, my God, I look skinny. Like, like compared to like me 2 years ago, I'm actually healthier, right? And it's kind of like, and you got to train your muscle. Like same thing as physical. It's same thing as mental.
So hard, right?
So you gotta have to like have that discipline, right? And then we're not like as female entrepreneur, like we're not a machine. Like, nobody is. Like guys, they say like, oh, it's all data, it's all numbers. Like they are also emotional animals. Like I know my husband, okay? Sometimes he does get anxious and stressed and all that. Everyone does. Don't tell me that you don't, because when you run into challenges, you're like, damn it, like, you kind of have that emotion. So it's normal.
Yeah.
So normalize anxiety. And when you have that kind of anxious moment, you go, take a deep breath. And then every morning I meditate. And I meditate and I write down, I jot down thoughts in my mind, and I jot down things that's bothering me, right? And then when I write it all down, and then I prioritize A, B, and C. It doesn't really matter what pops up in my head. The first thing I do meditate 5 minutes. There's this one app, it's called Simple Life, I think. And I just do really short meditation because I have a 2-year-old, so I don't have that much time to do like 20-minute meditation. I just do 5 minutes and it's enough for me. And then as long as you get your mental like stage, don't look at your phone. The first 5 minutes is so sacred. You got to protect your mental health, right? Mental health is real.
Super important.
Because you have to protect your own sacred place that nobody can touch. Even though when you have a partner, you have your dog, you have your kid, but you gotta need time for yourself. So the first 5 minutes is for me. And I meditate and I go, okay, everything is gonna work out. Everything will. And then I just write down all of the things that's bothering me on a piece of paper. And then I start going priority. A, B, and C. A is urgent and important. B is not urgent but important. C is not urgent. I think you're right. C is like urgent but not important.
Yeah.
This is what we call the Franklin Covey. Look it up. It's Franklin Covey. So it's a time management basically tool, and it's created like just centuries ago. And then I use that on my daily basis. So because as an entrepreneur, I have so many, like sometimes you feel like an octopus, right? And you're just like, I gotta work on this, I gotta work on that. Like when I first started Nutter, I was working 2 full-time jobs while being pregnant. And I talk about it because every time when I look back, even though I'm stressed, I'm like, you know what? I don't work at 2 full-time jobs anymore. And then I have a kid. Like my kid is out, and then like he's healthy, knock on wood, and that's great. I'm just sharing the grateful moment of my thoughts. And then when you think about grateful things in your life, your mind automatically go from the fear to being grateful.
Yeah.
You can't have both at the same time. Because if you're a fear, you're like, oh, I don't have enough money, and then like I don't have the enough funding. Like, you know, if you just spend your energy there, that's gonna amplify the growth there. And then if you spend your energy in, it's gonna work out. It's going to be efficient. I'm gonna focusing my energy to turn my business into a healthy business, and I'm gonna work on the marketing efficiency. I'm gonna do what I can control in order to get to the result.
Yeah.
So because a lot of folks that they look at results, right? And as a CEO, it's normal. You just like think about result. When you don't see the result, it's kind of like playing basketball, right? So when you just like so focus on the score, I just want to be the component. I just want to win, right? If you just focus on that and you forgot to dribble the ball, you forgot to pass the ball, you forgot to catch the ball, you forgot to shoot it.
Nope.
How do you get a score?
You need to be focused on the ball.
You got to focus. So this is the training for your own mental muscle to be disciplined and say, these are the 3 things I'm going to focus on today.
Yeah.
Because I am a strong believer that if everything is important, nothing is.
Yes.
So you can only focus on 3 things in a day. What's the most important thing in your business?
Yeah.
If it's urgent but not important, delegate.
Yeah.
Delegate to your assistant, delegate to your partner, delegate to your intern. Like, you know, delegate.
Yeah.
Because it's not important, but it's urgent. Like, what is the password for this, you know, account? Gosh, like I used to hate that question. But then when you start building a team, you're like, what is the password for this? I'm just like, so this is the reason why you need to have a process in place. When you build a team, it's very, very important. So to have a process in place, right? So I know that, you know, everyone has a routine and stuff like that. But, you know, when you have like too many issues and then, you know, like I run into this problem all the time to create a process for that like particular project. Because the difference between project and process is that project only happen one time. And process something that you do repeatedly.
Repetition. You apply it to every project.
Yep. So for example, if you are stressed about like content creation, right? And you're just stressed about like, oh my God, I don't have enough money to run on Facebook advertising or Google advertising. Well, think about other ways. Like, are you posting 3 to 5 times on TikTok a day? If the answer is yes, don't spend any more dollar on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because you know why? TikTok traffic is free. You can just do TikTok live every day. Just like put your phone right there and just hit record. Doing whatever you're doing, right? Daily life of an entrepreneur. And in fact, we're recording right now. And then just, you know, just shoot content. Like don't have a too much of a expectation for aesthetic. And like, you know, this is a mistake for a lot of entrepreneurs. Is like, oh, I gotta look good and I gotta do this. And like, dude, just like shoot it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you don't have makeup on, doesn't matter. So, and then once you like, okay, so this is a barrier of entry, right, for creating content. And then you go, okay, the most important thing, this is literally what I write on I have this calendar, okay? On my calendar, and I write down 3 things that are really important. So X, Y, Z, if it's sales, marketing, and then operations, and then finance. So I have three main buckets: sales and marketing, finance, and operation. And I pick out the top three most important things for each of the buckets, and then I delegate. I delegate to my team. When you have a team, right? When you don't, you have a partner, right? And then you go, hey, you know what? We're going to divide and conquer. So this is how I first started. I have my business partner, which is my husband, and then me. And then I go, okay, so I do sales and marketing, you do finance and operation, because I can't do details. And I'm just not. Like, I know what my weaknesses are. It's not like I am not good at it. I'm actually pretty good at math, but I just don't want to get caught with all these small details, right? So you got to have role of separation of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So when you have a partner, right? So let's say if you are a small business owner, and then identify what you're good at, and then identify what you just don't feel like doing, right? But it's necessary. For example, what do you not look like? What are you interested in a business? What are you not interested in?
I think creative part is easy for me because I have background in it. I don't like to deal with numbers. I'm not good at math. I
Well,
don't want to.
That's my thought too.
Correspondence is not really my thing.
Yeah.
So Anya's doing that.
Yeah.
But at this point, I feel like it's so many tasks, even in my department and in her department, we need to delegate. So when did you realize naturally that it's time to grow?
So, like, grow your team, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Build a team.
Yeah. So when you build a team is when, excuse me, when you realize that you're just getting too much of tasks on your plate, like, but before you hire somebody, okay, for that specific task, you gotta remember you gotta have process in place. And then when you have the process, right, and then everything will be like checklist, template, boom.
Yeah.
And then for content creation, for example, and then we talked about in the last episode, like, how do you create more content? You basically just, like, it's time management.
Yeah.
You just create like 1 hour of time, and you just like change different outfits, and you pump different content, right? And then 1 hour it can be like use tools, and you can divide it into 10 different pieces of content, and for your TikTok and for your whatever. And then if you are actually doing the automation, if you can actually automate that, you don't need more people. You just need a process, okay?
Yes.
So that's the reason why the misconception is like, oh, I need more people, I need a team. No, you don't. You just need process.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you might need just one more person on your team to be able to automate that. So for example, if you are just needing, like, let's say I'm not good at math, okay? So let's say you are very good at creating brand, like recognize that that's your strong suit. And then, so you do that. And then you have your partner to work on finance and operations, right? You work on sales and marketing. You divide and conquer. And then at the end of the day, and you just sync for like 1 hour each day, and or like 1 hour, like, whatever, every other day.
Time
And then-
management, for sure.
Time management. And then when you need some help in creating content, like, oh, doing all the scheduling, like, I can create content, but I don't want to do scheduling or script writing. Okay, well, there's a lot of times that you can actually use tools, AI tools, to be able to write content for you.
Crazy AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's like a lot of copy.ai is a great tool to create content. Like, you can just like, hey, give me like 10 ideas for beauty. And then boom, just like right there.
Yeah.
And then you can relate to your brands, and then you can just create content. And then if you're not a camera person, you don't have to show your face. You can just have your intern do it. Right? And then you just delegate. And then just always remember, when you have someone on your team that if you are, direct reports to you, you always wanted to make sure the who, what, when. These are three things that are really, really important. And who is doing that? Who's the owner of that task? And there's only need to be one owner of any task. But if you are not clear about who owns it, people are like, oh, you did it. No, I thought you were going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like you didn't identify who's going to do it. That's number one. Two is when. I need to buy this Friday. But if you don't say the expectation, be like, wait, do you have that? Oh, no, not yet. Sorry, I have a lot of tasks on my plate. Well, oh, that's right. I didn't tell you when I need it. right? So you have to be specific about when. And then what the task is. Like you have to be specific about what you ask, right?
Yes.
And then honestly, like sometimes I'm a very naturally very nice person. And to my team is like, oh, when you have a chance, like, or like, oh, it would be great if you, and towards at the end of it, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of being nice. Like if I'm being nice, like nobody is clear about what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So when I have a team and I'm not bossy, but I'm polite, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be very specific and when I need it, who's owning that, and then when do I need it by.
Yeah.
So once I identify these who, what, when,
Yeah.
and then it becomes super crystal clear to your member. And then you have a process in place, you have OKR, which is objective key result, right? For example, you have an intern. And then what is your goal for this intern to accomplish? If your goal is to create 10 pieces of content per week, then you have the what? Who owns that intern?
She owns the task, right?
Right.
And I need to explain it to her by when I need that. If it's weekly, if it's if it's like one off, and then
but you got a clear objective.
Because it's like it is kind of important thing, right? You touched on that, being a boss. Like you want to be nice, but actually it is the nicest thing you can do for someone to be clear. If you're not clear, you like
people are lost.
People
they don't
are
have
lost.
Direction. Correct.
Yeah, because you're not really sure. They're not really sure. Nobody's sure. No one is doing anything. No one is efficient, and then everyone is mad. So that end up being like not being nice.
A chaos.
Yeah, a
right.
chaos.
So that's the reason why when you manage a team, you want to make sure that I promote like OKR all day, every day, because the difference between OKR and KPI. So OKR is objective key result. And that's the terminology I learned when I was working at Google. And that was actually adopted by Andy Harris, believe like in the 60s and just decades ago. And then it's very powerful. And the difference between that and a KPI, is a key performance indicator, is that OKR has an O. It's the objective. Because if people are not clear of where they're going, you're going to give the wrong direction to somebody. So that's the difference between a good leader, a bad leader. A good leader will tell you which direction you're going.
Yes.
Here's exactly what I want. Okay.
Yes.
Here's my vision. So that's the reason why I talk about vision all the time with my team. All right. Well, me and my management team, we're in sync.
Yes.
Because only if you're in sync, and then you can actually, implement and execute on the strategies.
Yes. And they're operating autonomously.
Yep.
They're not dependent on every little, you need to approve every little thing.
Yep.
That's never going to work.
Right. So you need two things, right? In a business is that you need strategies, you need execution. Because without either, it's just a plan. It's just sitting on the back of a napkin,
Yes.
right? So you're a CEO and you're the visionary. You know everything in your business, how you want this business to be, how do you want it to look, and you have a plan in your head, right? But communicate that.
Yeah.
What I realize is that as a CEO, and sometimes I'm just like think about everything, and then I don't communicate enough.
Yeah.
And then realize is that I expect people to do that, but then I didn't communicate well.
Yeah.
So when you have the OKR and set it, even if just one intern, you say, here is what is OKR, and here's the OKR I want you to accomplish. For example, I want you to accomplish 10 pieces of content per week. That's your task. Focus, right? And then all the other things can be like, you spend 80% of time focusing this OKR, 20% you can do whatever, like market research, doing other stuff that you want to learn. But 80% focus on these OKRs that I give you. And then when you are clear about the OKR and you talk about your vision, here's how I like it to be. Here's the template I want you to use. Here is what exactly and when I need it. When you're so clear about these OKRs, and then it's just becomes simple. You don't even have to think about it. You just come back and by the end of the week and just say, actually do the review on Mondays, because don't do it on Fridays. So because Friday people's gonna be like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
I'm going to this Saturday and I'm sad. Like do it on Monday. So having a meeting on Monday and just say this is mandatory meeting,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna have with you. Here's the OKR, and let's review from last week. It's just all numbers game.
Yeah.
Right. And my request was 10 pieces of content. You only did 8.
Mhm.
Like I don't say like what's up. Like I just said, can I help you? Was there any bottleneck, any kinks that I need to remove? My job as a CEO is to remove kinks in the business, and then to help you to do your job. Because when you have the mindset of I work for you, that changes everything. Because yes, you're the boss, but people will feel appreciated when you say my job is to make your job easier.
Yeah.
How can I help you? And then people will feel like, oh, you know what? I was working on these, 8 pieces of content, and I just ran out of ideas, and I just don't know what else to do. And it's not like I don't want to. It just, man, I'm just so exhausted from like creating 8 hours of content. And I was just like, oh, you know what? Maybe try that. If you run an idea, try the, ChatGPT can give you some ideas. And then they'll be like, oh, wait, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I'm going to do that, right? And then when I talk about like team management in the business, I don't talk about like the, oh, you suck, or like, it's personal development program. It always is for me, myself, right? Even though I'm an entrepreneur and our brand is like 2 years old, when I look back, like I never thought I would be a podcast or I would be hosting a podcast. Never. I've never thought about that. And I thought, oh, I'm not good in front of camera. Oh, nobody's going to watch my content. But guess what? Like, these are your noise in your head.
Yes.
So you just have to, sometimes and be, specific, and then you just say, yes, you can.
Yeah.
So
clarity is important. I remember when one of our first talks, it was so groundbreaking for me because you asked me a pretty simple question. You were like, so what is your like success idea? And you always think whatever your success idea in the beginning is just, it's funny. But I think I said something, you like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I don't remember the number. We need like help with math right now, but I think it was something like $2 million.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so now let's go reverse,
reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering. How many units you need to sell to do $2 million? And I was like, I don't even want to count. And then I was like, you're like, take your calculator, calculate it. And I'm calculating it, and I was like, I think it was like 33,000 units. And you're like, okay, 33,000 units. Is it achievable? And I'm like, actually, it is achievable. What am I talking about? It is achievable. And now, okay, 33,000 units. How do I sell this 33,000 units? 3,000, like I need more wholesale accounts that this account will take 1,000 units, this account will take 1,000 units, this account will take 500 units. How many can I sell DTC? How many I can sell, I don't know, this way or that way. So like through influencers, through that. And then you kind of creating a roadmap. But before you have that clarity, you think $2 million is just such a scary number.
Yeah.
And you don't have a plan.
Right.
You don't have a plan. But when you clear, you're like, okay, $2 million. Let's go. Let's try to tackle it. How do I tackle it?
So going back to your first question is like, how do you, when you lose that spark and you felt like you're not like achieving where you are not where you need to be, remember that.
Yes. Go back to to your goal.
Yeah.
What is your objective? What is your intention?
Yep.
Because that's the beginning. Always go back to the beginning. And it's not only about business, it's about everything, right, in the world.
Yep.
Like if you lose the path in the woods, you go back to what do you remember, where you starting, and then you now it's a little bit more clear instead of just roaming around, like walking for aimlessly.
Yeah. And always like, here's my okay. Yep. So here's my inspiration, like that inspires me, right? You can be motivated. You can just watch a motivational video and you kind of like get jazzed and then you have the shot of dopamine and then it's easy. But my biggest fear, okay, is that when I wake up when I'm like 70 years old and I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that. And, I just don't want to wake up when I'm like 70 years old and I'm just like, oh, what am I doing? And it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying that you can't start a business. Colonel Sanders starting a business when he was 65. But how many of them are out there?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, what I'm grateful for is that I have energy.
Yes.
Even though I'm not 20 years old,
yeah,
but I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Right now, I'm building a business. I'm a female entrepreneur, and I represent a lot of female entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And then I wanted to be able to show that female entrepreneurs can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you lose a spark, and just remember, who are you 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And compared to where you are now.
Oh, yeah. So it's so crazy to think about. We didn't even have a product.
Right?
Like a year ago.
Right?
Like maybe a little longer, but a year and 3 months, we didn't have we still were like, oh, what's going on? I remember this is great that you said that. I always go back to this saying, when you afraid, of doing something, just remember, if you do or not do,
mm-hmm.
if you don't do, you automatically fail.
Exactly.
That's it.
100%.
If you do it, you you have
at least you have a shot.
But you have a shot. If you don't do it, you have no shot.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? And I used to be a recruiter in tech for 9 or almost 10 years, and then they say 80% of the female applicants, they don't even apply because they think that they're not good enough or they don't meet the qualification, and that. That of course it doesn't give them a shot if they don't apply. So same analogy, and you apply it to your business. If you take the shot and you try it, people are like, oh, I'm not good at TikTok stuff, and then you never post anything. And of course you don't get traffic.
Yes.
But what if you just do?
Mm-hmm.
You do it consistently.
Mm-hmm. And then if you fail, change the strategy. You know what's not working now. Instead of just projecting and thinking it's not going to work.
If it's all in your head, it's just a dream.
Yes. And we're here for the dreams, but we're here to realize them.
Yeah. Sometimes you're going to manifest too, and then talk about bigger goals, right? And you think about okay, what kind of lifestyle do you want? The same thing as, if you want to go to Italy, right? Mm-hmm. And what you dream about just the beautiful winery and the beautiful Mediterranean Sea, I'm going to enjoy that, right? That's where you're smiling when you talk about that. But then the process of trying to get to Italy, you're going to get a passport. You're going to have to wait in line at immigration. You're going to have to take 20 hours to get there. You're going to pay for it. You're going to have to make money to pay for it. And just right? And you're just dreading. So sometimes when you lose that spark, and you just think about going to Italy. Think about why.
Yeah.
Think about why you do what you do. Because you know why? I look at other entrepreneurs and they drive a really Porsche. That's my nice car. Why not you? Why not you? Yeah. And I like that lifestyle, and I do, and I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna use my bare hands. I'm gonna work hard, and that's the reason why I do what I do today.
Yes.
Manifest.
We're gonna get there.
Yes.
Thank you for always inspiring us, and it was such a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you for being here and be the voice of thousands of female entrepreneurs. And
we got it.
Yeah.
As girls, we got it.
Let's go. We need more of us.
20-year-old, 70-year-old, whoever has a dream, we got it.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you, CEO and co-founder of Berber.
Yay.
Senia, our lovely guest. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alicia. You're amazing.
Awesome.
Yay.